So in this video, I want to do 21 critical questions to ask for a home inspection. Home inspections are back. Most sellers are giving inspection contingencies. Most buyers are asking for it. I always think you should ask for it, but in the pandemic market, that was a little hit or miss. But here are some questions you should ask during a home inspection. So the first thing is to ask some questions before the home inspection so you can make sure you choose the right inspector. Now, if you are working with me, I do have some home inspectors that I know and trust that have done good work for my clients over the last 8 years. So you don't necessarily have to find your own, but these are questions you can ask the ones that I'll give you and decide what's the best fit for you. But it's important to ask, what are their credentials? What makes them a good home inspector? Are they licensed, and do they belong to the International Association of Certified Home Inspectors or the American Society of Home Inspectors? Those are two great organizations that home inspectors are typically a part of. If they're not a part of those, you might ask why. The second question to ask is, are they bonded and insured? Sometimes, not often, but sometimes something can happen and they do damage to the property while doing an inspection. Are they insured? Does their insurance coverage cover that? I know that when an inspector is doing a new home inspection for a client, the new home company requires high levels of insurance for that home inspector in order to allow them to do the home inspection. Now, I think some builders, that's because they want to make it as hard as possible for someone to get a private inspection, but nevertheless, making sure your home inspector is bonded and insured is important. Ask them how they stay current in the industry. What kind of ongoing training do they get? Do they have certifications in special aspects like roofs or mold or any of the other kinds of things that can come up during a home inspection? Ask if you can attend the home inspection. Now, I typically suggest to my clients that they come to the last 30 minutes of the home inspection. I don't want my clients interrupting the home inspector when they're trying to do the home inspection. I want the home inspector focused on the home and what they're looking at. But the last 30 minutes is a good opportunity for the home inspector to show physically the buyers some of the things that they found. So you're going to get a big report at the end, but make sure that this way you can understand and physically see what some of the issues the home inspector identified were. Asking what type of inspections they provide. Some are basically just the major systems. Others have add-on services like termite, pool, sprinkler, irrigation, septic, engineering reports, mold. So they might have other credentials and they can do more inspections for you should your home require it. Ask them how much experience they have. And again, this is one of those situations where, just like a realtor, it's not the number of years of service that give you experience, it's how many inspections have you done. Because if you're only doing a couple inspections a year, I don't care if you've done it 30 years, that's only 60 inspections. I know home inspectors that do 5-10 a week. And so they're going to far surpass in terms of experience someone that's only doing a couple a year. Certainly, it's important to ask how much the home inspection will cost. In our area, I'm seeing $350 to $500 for a basic home inspection, which usually covers most of what you need. But in a septic inspection, it's probably another $450, $500. Termite inspections, probably another $100 or so. So it will vary, and it's important to ask those questions. It's also important to ask if the home inspector will re-inspect. So for example, if they identify the roof is past its useful life and it needs to be replaced, will they come out and re-inspect the roof after the roof's been replaced if you're lucky enough to have a seller that will actually replace the roof? Ask them what type of report they will deliver. All the home inspectors I work with give a very detailed report after they finish the inspection, usually within the 24 hours. And then you can go through it and visibly see what kinds of things they identified. And it's usually accompanied by pictures, so you can physically see what they're talking about the issue was. Ask how long it will take to receive. Like I said, the ones that I work with, usually same day or next day. If it takes a long time, and remember, your inspection period is typically 8 to 10 days, and so that can create a real issue for you if it takes a long time to get the report back. You want to have that report back quickly so you have time to negotiate any repairs if necessary. Ask the home inspector if they'll answer any questions after the inspection. Hopefully your home inspector is going to be available to you to help explain what they put in the report. If they're not, then I'd probably find another home inspector. Asking if there's areas they don't inspect. Again, some won't inspect a pool because they don't have the qualifications to do so. I've had a situation where someone was too big to get in the crawl space, so they couldn't do the crawl space underneath a home. So just making sure you're asking questions to know what they will and won't inspect. Well, once you get and choose your home inspector, there are going to be some questions you're going to want to ask during the inspection. If there's something that you don't know what it means, then ask the home inspector to clarify. You also want to hit some of the major systems of the home. So how's the condition of the roof? Ask for the age and overall condition, the HVAC system, electrical system, plumbing, foundation or structural issues, insulation, drainage, and sewage. Those are all the key things you want to ask about. I've had all of these things come up in one inspection or another, so it's important to ask about all of those. If there's any moisture in the home, then it's also a good idea to ask if there's any mold concerns. A good home inspector usually has a moisture meter so they can detect that, see if there's any active moisture, which is an even bigger concern. And then you can ask them if they have any tips on maintaining a certain system. A lot of my clients maybe haven't had a septic system before, so they ask questions about how to maintain the septic system. When you do a new home, when you purchase a new home construction, actually the builder or builder rep will walk you through the home and explain all the major systems, which I think is actually a really helpful part of purchasing new home construction. Asking if that home inspector sees any major red flags. It could be that it's a lot of minor stuff, and if that's the case, maybe you don't need to worry about it, but if there are major systems issues, then you'll want to know about that up front. You can also ask, would you buy this house? Now, I know a lot of home inspectors actually weren't going to ask that question, and honestly, I'm not sure that's a great question that I would ask, because whether you're going to purchase a house might depend on your level of comfort with do-it-yourself projects. Most of the home inspectors I know are very good do-it-yourselfers. They maybe got their start in a trade or even as a home builder. One of mine is a home builder. And so in that case, they might buy a house that you couldn't take on. Okay, finally, here are the questions to ask after the home inspection. What are the costliest repairs needed? Who do you recommend for repairs? Now, some will recommend different vendors, others will not. If you're working with me, I do have a pretty extensive vendor list, and so I definitely have some recommendations, people that you can call, again, that my clients have had good experiences with. Ask them how they can best maintain their new home. Usually most home inspectors can tell you tips and tricks on home maintenance to extend the life of all of your major systems. And then what to do with your inspection report is you work with your agent to prioritize by urgency, and honestly you're really looking for things that are health or safety violations or significant cost. Those could be deal killers if the seller's not willing to take care of it. Things like AC, roof, major electrical, major plumbing, those kinds of things we want to prioritize. Walls that need painting, floors that are scuffed, not as big a deal. Get estimates so you have an idea of how much you're looking at for repairs, and then work with your agent to negotiate. Again, you're in a market now where sellers will often make some repairs, and it's going to depend on how much equity they have, right? Because if they don't have much equity and they need to put a $20,000 roof on the home, that's going to be a challenge. There are lots of ways to handle repair negotiations. I've had situations where buyer and seller have split the costs, for example, for a roof, and I have roofing companies that will get paid at closing, so it gets taken out of all the seller proceeds and whatnot. So there's different ways to handle it, and that's really important. Anyway, I hope you have found this information helpful. Home inspection is one of the most important things you can do as a home buyer. I highly recommend them. And again, I have a good list of some really great home inspectors that I work with. And so if you are looking to buy or sell a home, please reach out to me. I'd love to help you. And remember, you can't miss with Chris. Have a great day, everybody.